What's up, guys? We're back for another Modified Rides podcast. Today, I have a fellow photographer here I've worked with and been friends with for, probably a couple decades now. Today, I have Grant Cox. What's going on, man?
How you doing, Brandon? Good to talk to you.
Grant's one of those ones that if you are in the photography world to look at it, you can look at his photos and know it's his. You know, I've said that about a lot of the people that I've looked up to over the years. You know, Johnny O or Brian Good or, Grant. I, as a photographer, can look at your photos and know that's your shoot before I even read the byline.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. It's been a fun journey.
But yet, y'all on YouTube can see you've got a truck behind you that wasn't that Johnny O shoot?
Yep, right there. Yes, I've always loved that truck, and then shooting it out there, in the Vegas dry lakes.
Yeah,
and it's just like that truck is just a badass color, and just how Johnny, how Johnny shoots. It's amazing. Oh, yeah. So I asked him, I was like, "Hey, I want to hang that up in my office. Do you mind if you send me the picture?" And so I printed it out and hung it up. So it's a beautiful picture.
That ties back to that too. Is anybody that's been around our game for any amount of time knows you can look at that picture, the lighting, the colors, the horizon line, like that's a Johnny O photo.
Oh, 100%.
He is someone I've looked up to for years. So I take it you're probably the same way.
Yes. Yeah. He is one of my mentors in the past that I've asked, and he's been, very helpful and help critique and help me grow as a photographer and just as an overall, person in the industry and working with that. So he has definitely been a good mentor to lean on and ask questions to. So
same for me. But did he give you the same thing? Like, oh, this is good, but oh, you suck at this. Like,
well, I probably, but I don't remember a whole lot of that. You've had a lot more experience with that, and the magazine was with him back in the days. So yeah, he started before me.
So I guess before we get into your photography world, I guess let's get back into where you started into custom vehicles.
Okay. Well, so I've always been, this normal story of most of your people you interview, but a car guy, into Hot Wheels and Legos, building things, into art, drawing, and doing, being in custom stuff. So whatever I was doing, RC cars to whatever, I was always customizing, painting, building, trying to do what I can do to make it unique and my own.
Yeah.
So once the mini truck revolution, like the West Coast style, came to Kansas, because I'm here in the middle of Kansas in Wichita.
Born and raised?
Yes, born and raised. And so once that came to this part of the country, I was just infatuated. It was just really cool. And it was really neat to see those in magazines like Truckin'. I don't know if Sport Truck was out then. I think it was mainly Truckin' Magazine, because that would have been, probably 88, 89.
Okay. When did you graduate high school?
93.
Okay. So you're older than me. Finally, I'm not the oldest one. 1 year.
Yeah, I was born in 75. But,
so was I.
So, but yeah, and so my first truck, my dad taught me how to drive in, was I think it was a 1980 Datsun, single cab, 4-cylinder, 4-speed. And so that ended up, I bought that from him, and that was my first truck. And so I started going to super shops, is what we had here. Was like a performance shop that had all kinds of accessories.
We had one in Greenville about an hour from here.
Okay, so you understand all the
they were the only one
with the BF Goodrich tires and the ARE wheels and Hammer wheels, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you go there and as a 14-year-old, and just
what was the
back then? So
what was the one on the main trucks hit when the 16s come out? The 205 40 16, like they were the only ones that had that tire.
Well, yeah, BF with the Euro. It was the Euro tire. It had the weird kind of funky tread on them, but yeah, it was a low profile tire because you either had white walls or you had racing letter, the white letters on it. But
I call those redneck white walls.
Yeah, yeah. But once the BF Goodrich Euro type tires came out, I think that's what they were. That was cool. And so I actually had a truck. I had a 91 Isuzu with those tires. So anyways, so
you started your love for it in the mini truck world?
Any mini trucks. So started out with a Datsun and then customized that and had that in high school. Went to K State in '93 and in the year '94 I bought a 2000 or a '91 Isuzu standard single cab with a blow through had a cab that
Yeah.
had 615 Orions in
Oh
it.
wow.
So I had a full sound system in it. And I had that for a little while with it like that. And then once it was time to go back to college, I had to get rid of that. So it was just basically a big open area, which was great for college because you can move, all your stuff in
Yeah.
it in one trip. And so I did that, and it had still some audio stuff in it because it was built for competition in Iasca.
I think we
So
all dabbled in Iasca back in the day
oh, I
to
loved going
some
to those shows.
degree.
We had them in Dallas and Oklahoma, Tulsa. That I remember my teenage years traveling and going to see those cars and trucks and all the demo vehicles, Orion and Rockford and the vans and all the
Almagates
oh
and
yeah, it was an Alpine with the Countachas and the Murcielagos and
that's when they were big into all like the Fishman installs and
yes.
all that stuff. So
Yes. So I went that through college. I had mini trucks, or high school and college with mini trucks, and then in '95 is when um, I saw a slammed 1990 GMC stepside Sierra, and I just had to have it. So it was on a 4.6 drop on some billet weld Tomahawk wheels, and it also had a big stereo system blow through the cab 312s, and that began my journey with OBS trucks and all the CK life. And then so that's where this stepped through mini trucks through up till current truck I have.
what'd you go to college for?
Electrical engineering.
Okay. I did that for about 2 years at a local college here. And I was
Mhm.
like, I don't want to be stuck in a plant for the rest of my life because they made it seem like the only thing you could get out of electrical engineering is fixing machines and plants.
Yeah, and that's where I went 2 years, and then I got into a company here in Wichita, aviation, and so I stopped doing that and got into management to become like a manager and into management into an aviations type stuff. So,
Yeah.
I had my electrical background and building skills through all of that. And so, because right now I'm 28 years in the aviation business.
Now, what do you do?
Um, right now I'm a manager in an aviation company. Builds small electrical parts for Cessna as the
Okay.
main customer of ours. But that's my day job. So
I've found out some of the past guests. It seems the aerospace world ties heavily to the automotive world. Like I've had some guys on that's started their career in the Boeing or whatever. So it seems that there's to be a lot of crossover between aviation and automotive.
yes, yeah, and this, because usually you have the clients, are into cars just like planes and boats and trucks.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of evolution, as some builders that like Eric, has gone with Little Shop and with cars and trucks that he's had, and now he has planes, and
But did you know he went to college and has a philosophy degree?
no, I did not know that.
Yep. He went 20 minutes from my house because every time when I had scraping the Smokies, he would show up like a day or so early. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to drop the trailer and everything here. We're going to go hike where I used to hike at school." I'm like, "What do you mean school?" He's like, "Oh, Brevard College." I'm like, you went like right down the road from me?" He's like, "What do you have?" He's like, "Oh, I got a philosophy degree." And I'm like, I can kind of see that now.
Okay, well, talented man. So yeah,
Yeah.
he can do anything he puts his heart to.
So you transferred from the mini truck to the OBS world.
Yes.
Did you, other than the audio stuff, when did you start getting into going to car shows?
Car shows was as a kid. So,
Okay.
and around the Midwest here, a lot of hot rod shows.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have indoors, in Tulsa and Oklahoma City and Dallas would be, I'd go with friends or other dads that guys, they were also car dads.
Yeah.
And then I just go with them, and I have my little 35 millimeter camera with me and point and shoot and take pictures, of all the things that I liked, So that's what kind of started. I started mimicking the magazines that I'd see and taking the pictures and doing that and having fun. And so that I've always kind of had a camera with me since I was a kid, going to car shows and taking pictures of cars, trying to mimic the car magazines, because I always would buy car magazines and just
Yeah.
sit there and look at them and read them and
Well,
books.
that was the next thing I wanted to get into, because you're a well-established automotive photographer.
Okay.
So how did you finally step into that world instead of carrying just the little point and shoot 35 millimeter around?
Right. So my parents got me into photography. They had a side business. They were both teachers, and on a side business that they had was portrait photography.
Okay.
And so growing up, in the late 80s and 90s, that's what they did, like senior pictures and family and weddings and that type of stuff. And so
Yeah.
I'd go with my parents and help out when they needed me to. And I'd always ask my dad about shooting, and we'd go out and do sports or do weather photography, like at night, and with lightning and all that kind of stuff.
I've seen you post some pictures of that stuff, and I'm like, how do you? I couldn't time it right. I was coming back from Mississippi Tuesday night, and there was crazy lightning. You're the first one I thought of. I'm like, Grant always gets these badass shots of this lightning, and I'm like, I wouldn't know where it was going to strike.
Yeah, my dad taught me that. So that came from a long time ago when I was a kid.
That's cool.
I've always been into weather, so a lot of people know me for that as weather.
You kind of have to where you live, though.
Oh yes, and now that you're getting to see, sadly North Carolina's getting crazy weather. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, but yeah. So growing up with my parents having a photography business, I was always around it. So going into the dark room, learning how to develop 35 millimeter. Then my dad went to a full frame film camera at studio inside of our house. So learning how to do lights,
Oh wow.
set up stuff, in our house. So that's kind of where that started at. And then of course, you know how it was back then. I didn't have money to have a super nice camera and pay for cars and go through college and be an adult in my 20s.
Yep.
So, I just had a cheap, just basic, digital camera, type of deal during my car phase of, in my 20s and that type of stuff. It wasn't until I got married in 06 and our first son was born in 07. And so, hey, you need a camera and capture all this. You know how
Yep.
it is as a dad. And so I got a Nikon and a D60. It was just a basic starter, and just going like, oh, I'll play around with this. And people started going, hey, you do great pictures of babies. You take pictures of my, sure, and I wouldn't charge them because they were friends, and and just so I started to kind of like, well, maybe this is something I could get into as a side gig, like my parents did. And so I did pictures with babies, and then started doing senior pictures and family portraits, and then weddings. And I did that all the way up to probably about 2013. It was about when I kind of officially stopped doing portrait type photography and focused on car stuff. Like
I've done a few weddings, and I'm not a fan of weddings, because I always say if something happens, a memory card crashes, you get in a wreck on the way home, and everything's trashed. You can't reshoot a wedding. You can go reshoot a truck or a car all day long.
Yeah,
You can't reshoot a wedding.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, it's having backups of stuff, and I primarily shot by myself. My wife would sometimes help me on a big wedding, or if they wanted a second type photographer,
Yeah.
I'd hand her my second camera and kind of teach her, hey, to get candidates of just a different angle.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I got lucky. with that. That's why I didn't do real big weddings. I did the smaller ones, but there's still churches and an outdoors venues and that type of deal. And I'd stay in this area, but I just found out that once I got into the magazine world, I started my time a lot more features in traveling, going to
Yeah.
review trucks and cars. I'm like, I just love doing this is where my love is. So that's when I started cutting that off and go full time automotive.
How did you get your foot into the magazine world? What was your first break into it?
So my first break into was I had a friend who had a body dropped S10, a second gen, that I shot pictures for him, just playing around, and I shot it like a feature. And so I showed John Mata when he was the editor of Mini Truckin' back in 2009.
You started that. I didn't think you started that late. I thought
Yeah,
you
I
were in
did.
the game way sooner than that.
Yeah, yeah. So I started late, and so he liked it immediately, and he's like, "Hey, you're close to Kansas City. I have a truck, Pat Cox's um, root beer colored
Hard
Nissan
body.
hard body with the
Yep.
LS sticking out of the hood of the Zoomies." And so he's like, "I got this truck up here. It's really cool. If you shoot it right, I want to try to get it on cover. If you do well, because that was my first gig." So I went up there and met Pat, and Kansas City's an amazing place. A lot of cool different looks and Old Town and that type of stuff. Look with the buildings and bridges. And so I spent a good part of the day with him, traveling around and doing rollers and just trying to get as much as I could because that was my first shoot. I didn't know what an editor needed as far as pictures,
Yeah.
besides what my brain has seen in all the magazines since I was a kid. And so I just had fun with it and did my try to capture everything. And so that's where the cover came out with his truck on the bridge, and it was like at 10 o'clock at night, and on a weekend of Kansas City. So I got lucky there was no traffic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that worked out, and then it snowballed from there. I ended up going out to Kansas or California, and boy, that was Source Interlink Media, I think, back in 2013, maybe, if that was
Okay.
right, if that's what you think.
Yeah.
I went out there and met Brian Brennan, and John Motto was out there still, and
Where
then
was Brian at the time?
at Source Interlink Media.
I mean,
So
what magazine was he at?
Street Rodder,
Oh,
because
that's right.
he
Okay.
was also brand manager of like a lot of them. So Street Rodder and Hot Rod and
That's
Super
right.
Chevy and all that. So he was kind of a group manager, as well as Street Rodder was his main one for his editor. And so I met him, and he took me around to all the editors there in California, and that's where it snowballed, because like, hey, we need, I need to have lots of stuff out there to shoot, and yeah, I
It
like your work, and so I just kind of getting faced with the name, and that helped out a lot too.
is that why you went to California? Is just to do that, or did you just happen to swing by while you were there?
I was there for my daytime job, and so this was once I got done doing my work I had out there in California. I met up with John, and because he was close to where I was staying at there in Southern
Okay.
California, and he took me around and showed me what it was like to went down to Hollywood Boulevard and all that type of stuff, and just kind
There's
of
no
gave me a
telling what he
tour
did.
of California. And that was my first time to really see California, and I was
There ain't no telling what he showed you on Hollywood Boulevard if Mata took you down Hollywood Boulevard.
well, he he was good because I was wanting to go to Compton.
I've been there.
Well, he was like, well, it's Friday night, and it's about 10 o'clock at night, and it's like a white guy and a Mexican guy and a white Challenger probably isn't the best thing to go rolling through Compton at night. I'm like, okay, I'll take your word, because I don't know, but just from growing up and watching all the movies, and
Oh
I
yeah.
see the landscape, I guess, and all the buildings and the businesses that I saw as a kid in movies and stuff. So it's just that.
We were out there one year. We went early for SEMA. One year I didn't have something. And me and Kristen went out there, and we went to Compton and went to like the Watts Towers. And it's like me and her in this little Corolla. I'm like, I just don't know if this is where we need to be. I mean, it's the middle of the day, but still, I'm like, we found Dr. Dre's original house, did
Yeah.
all that. So,
Well, and stuff like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society
yeah.
and all those movies that we grew up with watching, and listening to NWA and all those Easy and the
Yep.
DOC, all that stuff. I don't know, as Midwest kids like we were, I kind of like, oh, I want to see, what's it like, what's it look like, and
Well, I'm even further being East Coast.
yeah,
So your first feature for a magazine was cover.
correct.
Like that's almost unheard of. So that's pretty badass.
Well, thank you. It was a badass truck, so
Oh
that
yeah.
was the main thing, because John already had intentions of if I shot it right and it captured the pictures and what he needed, that it would be. And so I got lucky that I was able to get with his vision of what it wanted to be like. So, but Pat built an amazing truck, so that's kudos to him.
Now I know your style, like we talked when we first got on, your style has a certain look, which you'd mentioned that like your parents taught you how to shoot with lights and stuff. You're one of the first few people that I know I've dealt with, worked with, been friends with, whatever, that always use strobes when you shot.
I
Like you can
didn't
see it and tell what you've had where. And I'm like, okay, well, how did he do that? Like I'm like looking at the picture trying to figure out where you had the strobes and that, because your look is on point for that for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. It was something that I had to really hone in because shooting people and cars are two different.
People don't reflect. There's no hot spots in the face.
There's all kinds of stuff. And then yeah, it's a different world.
Mm-hmm.
But I understood light photography in that sense. But when I started this out, I did a lot of the golden hour shoots. So in the very early morning and in the evening because of our Kansas sunsets
Oh yeah.
and the mornings. And um, I learned that a lot of with Josh Mishler, which was also another mentor of mine who did primarily that type of evening shoots. And uh, and so once I talked to him about, just kind of honing that perfection, and that's what I did. And I call it my street rodder look because that's how street rodder likes, back then they loved the golden hour, so I would be out there on time delay and tripod and
Like Johnny O's picture behind you.
yeah, sun's going down or coming up, and I'm planning all that around there and trying to, but I was always good with time management because of weddings and everything else that, I had everything in my head and what I needed to capture and set up. And so once I started playing more and getting the equipment, I guess you'd say, because, you just don't start into automotive photography and have alien bees and portable lights. And so I
Yeah.
started out with Nikon speed flashes and
You mean you didn't start with the f2.8 lens from the get
right,
go?
right, yeah, no, yeah. So it's buying the lenses was I already had the camera body, but buying the lenses was the
Yeah.
main thing because that's where you get your beautiful pictures from a lot is the lenses. But and then so once I started getting money to buy more equipment, I got into alien bees and having pocket wizards and I still have the same ones. I mean, knock on wood, I just shot a
What
truck last night, and I mean, I'm like thinking like these things are just tanks,
what did your alien be set up? What are you using?
the 800s.
The
Oh, no,
800s?
1600s. Sorry,
Okay.
1600s. Yeah, just the old school. I'm not incandescent, with the bulbs.
Yep.
I haven't gone to LED, and I've used those. Oh my gosh, probably 10 years, at least 10
Well,
years.
I got my first alien bee. I was doing like team photos and stuff when my daughter was cheering. I was doing football and all that. So I had one. I bought a 1600. Well, then it's like then I bought another one, and I was like, well, money's tight. Let me get an 800. So I got an 800. And like 2 3 months later, I'm like, all right, let me get another 800. So now I have the two 800s and one 16. So I have to position it like, all right, the main shot's going to be the two 800s, and I'll put the 16 in the back, and just it separate. But they've done me good. I don't use them for every shoot,
Yeah,
but I've changed stands out 3 or 4 times because you buy a stand and you realize like, well, this is garbage. And then,
yeah.
I finally got the air assisted stands recently that are stronger and heavier duty. You have a few crashes at a photo shoot and you learn that little cheap Amazon stand isn't gonna cut
No,
it.
yeah, and I've been lucky. My stands are at Westcott, ones that I bought when I did all this, and I still have them. But being from Kansas, I have to shoot in wind. So I have ankle weights that I put, on the feet
On the base.
to
Yeah.
anchor it down, and then of course I'm not going to use soft boxes when it's windy,
Yeah.
So I have to just plan for wind, what kind of lighting I want to use. If I'm using soft boxes, I'm generally inside. That
Do you
type of
have the Vagabond Mini for each light?
Yes,
Okay. I
yeah,
used to have one that would have an extension cord and run it. I was like, I'm
but
tired of doing that and editing out cords. And I was like, I'm just going to buy one for each one. Do you have the mounts that mount it to your stand though?
well, I, so
Because
I
you
have
screw
yeah,
it to the battery and it clamps on the stand with like a crank.
yes, but mine's not a crank. Mine's a um has a spring loaded on the back of it. So I don't know. Maybe mine's older that it came with that. I don't have like a claw. It's
Yeah,
a different
mine.
one, but it mounts to it, and then it mounts on the pole on that.
Yeah, I've streamlined. Been doing a bunch of stuff for Bring a Trailer for a local place, and it's like it's all inside. And I'm like, I have the cords the length I need. So if my stand's all the way up, it's plugged into the B, plugged in the battery that's on the, I'm not dragging a battery and a stand and trying to move all that.
No,
So
no and that's what helps a lot just with time management is having a vagabond for each light and clamp it on that so you have all that together and you can just move them around and adjust and it's
I
just
even
ready to
went,
go. If I'm shooting indoors, I'll plug the wall,
yeah,
and that kind of stuff and then I'll turn on the modeling light, because I usually turn down all the lights in the room
yeah.
and shoot in the dark, so I don't have any extra stuff that I have to edit out. Um, but
Like I went recently and bought another transmitter because I got tired of moving it from one camera to the other. Because I have two different bodies. I have my 15 to 35 on one, and then my 70 to 200 on another. So instead of having like change it out, I'm like, I'm just going to buy another one, and I can put one on both bodies. Put a camera down, grab another. I'm not changing lenses. Like I'm sure you're the same way I am. You should learn to streamline as you go.
yeah, and I still shoot with my Nikon Z6. So I went frameless whenever that generation. It's a series one, so it's I don't know, 6, 7 years old by now.
I
I
stepped up to
think they're on
mirrorless
the third
last year.
generation of Z3s now.
Yeah,
So and it's been a great going to mirrorless mirrorless is great. I shot with a Nikon D300S in the past. So it was a full frame camera heavy. I mean, I can tell I'm getting older. When I'm start holding the camera, just this motion right here of holding the grip on the camera, and I'm getting older. I can tell at the end of the day, it might take ibuprofen. Anyways, but,
I'm sure you're like me when you if you're at a shoot and somebody's like, you tell somebody, hey, grab that camera or whatever, and they're like picking it up like it's a baby or something, and you're like, why are you scared? I'm like, it's a lot of money. I'm like, I grab it and throw it around, put it
right.
under my arm, like,
Yeah, they're amazing the quality that they have nowadays. Because I mean, dust, rain,
oh yeah,
anything, and it's just. But you pay for it. I mean, they're expensive now. I've looked at getting a new updated body just to see. I'm like, I don't know if I need it. I mean, because what am I gaining? It's more the lenses. If anything, I like to update to the mirrorless Z lenses. I still use the older G series of Nikon. Um, so, but they're great. I mean, that's what I still shoot today. So,
well, I switched to mirrorless. I think it was early last year, and when I did, I sold all my EF lenses. I'm Canon, and
yeah,
then I
yeah,
bought the RF because like, oh, you can get the adapter and this, and I'm like, these lenses are 15 plus years old. Is like sold them. It's like I just started fresh. This will carry me till I retire at this point.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I'd like to do because I have to use the adapter, but it's working, and that's just the way it is. So, and you go to try to resell those things on trading it in value, and it's like I paid $2,300 for the 24 to 70 lens, and they want to give you like $150.
Yep.
You're like,
And the
yeah,
new ones,
I'll keep it.
$3,600.
Right? You're like, that's what covers the tax, maybe. So, but my daughter, she's in high school now, and she's on the photography group with for yearbook, and so I'm like, well, I'll just she can use that stuff and teach her how
Yeah.
to do the photography with that if she needs to. And so, anyways,
I
but
bought one of the Canon, the little point and shoot, a lot of the vloggers and stuff use them.
Yeah.
I bought ones like, hey, I'm gonna use it for video stuff here and there, and I used it twice. I'm like, my phone kind of does the same thing, and then my daughter's like, hey, are you still using that camera? When she was in college, so I let her borrow it, and she's never given it back. She carries that thing to the nightclub with her, and she's like, it gives it that vintage look, Dad. And I'm like, no, that's
Similar thing. So yeah, my daughter's getting ready to turn 15, and she went to a garage sale with her mom, and she got a little Canon, like, I don't know, 6.3 megapixel
yeah,
little point and shoot. And she just like, this is the best thing. I'm like, you have an iPhone that has way better
yep.
vintage look. So it's crazy how this generation of kids are just infatuated with 90s stuff and the things that we grew up with. And it's cool, because I still have a lot of it, and camcorders and whatnot. But it's funny that they are just like, what do you have, and teach me about it, and
They
so
went somewhere and she bought a couple disposable cameras and took them. I'm like, why are you doing that? She's like, oh, the photos are so cool with that vintage look, that old look, Dad. I'm like, old? That's, you just made me feel old calling that an old look.
well, and you can do that with a filter, from an app nowadays. It's like, I didn't. I mean, some of those it's hard to develop. I thought I heard the last developing place was shut down, but maybe not. If
She
they're
took
still
it,
going.
I think, to Walgreens, and they
Okay.
sent it off, and
Yeah, Walgreens is. Yeah, I know that's a dying thing to
oh
be able
yeah.
to do that. So
Which I'm glad that when all the magazines, when I first started, I was shooting slide film. Like, Brian McCormick always wanted like your detail shots. You could do digital shows. You could do digital, but for any lead shots, you had to have slide film.
hmm.
I didn't have a film camera at the time, so I was borrowing a buddy's film camera to run the slide film through it, hope I could get the right shots out of it. Then finally he was like, well, technology's there. We can go ahead and do lead shots in digital. Game changer. That was probably '02, maybe.
Well, and finding the film for what you're wanting to do was a big thing. I mean, because you can't just, I'm just going to go to Walmart and buy a Kodiak, 300 ISO speed or whatever
Yeah.
type of deal, and just it had to be this certain type of film, that was in that case for magazine, because you got to get the quality and the megapixels up. You're going to
Yeah.
have a good quality of film that
I know
you get.
my first digital camera was an 8 megapixel. I've probably got 4 or 5 covers I've shot with that 8 megapixel. I'm like, my phone is a better camera than what my first probably 20 magazine covers were.
Yes, yes, and just like even with a video camera, it's like shooting 4K at it's great. It does a lot of things. That's why it's tough to go spend for a pocket, little HD Osmo video
I'm
camera.
recording right now on my Pocket 3.
Okay, well, it looks great, so it can tell it, it's great. But man, they're just like, man, that's just another thing. And
Well, to
and
take
then you
that
got
to,
your mirrorless camera that you can shoot from, and then you got your iPhone you can shoot from, and
I like the Pocket because, for one, like the mics connect to it. So if I'm at a show or doing something recording, it's there. I have like the little case that goes on it. I can throw it in my pocket. I don't have to worry about it.
how
It
about the
makes the
roller shots? Have you done that yet?
what
The roller shots
I
with the
have
gimbal.
the arm, but it's hard because, like, to find someone to drive the vehicle you're shooting, then there's someone like to drive you to make sure everything's set right. Like, it's just hard to have 3 people to do that. I've bought it and I've never used it.
Okay.
I plan to. I've been a little busy lately, so.
Oh, wow. Maybe it was a K5 that probably has your time all consumed.
So when you said you first started with mini trucking,
Yes.
how long did you shoot for mini trucking before you branched out to other titles?
Not very long. Um, so mini truck, and then it went to maybe classic trucks, street rodder.
Which is under the
Um,
same company at the time.
yes. And then GM High Tech,
Yeah.
Super Chevy, and then the Ford magazine. So
Who'd you do at GM High Tech and Super Chevy? Was that or was that Rick or was that Scott?
oh, he also had, was it Nick also, Licata also
Yeah, yeah.
part of
Nick was there too. Yeah.
Yeah, there was all of them. And then you had John, who I think John is doing hot rod right now.
Yeah.
I've also dealt with him too. Yeah, there's
Because I've
a
had
lot of great editors I've worked with.
I've had
So
Scott Parker and Rick Seats both on the podcast because I worked with them at GM High Tech
mhm,
and all that. So,
yeah,
um,
um, yeah.
is that when you knew that okay, this is going to be lucrative enough to do this as a side job?
Yes, yeah, and I wanted to make my full time job, but being in the aviation and just you make a good, decent living in the aviation industry, and they must have knew stuff that was on the writing on the wall about not quitting your day job. Just do
Yeah.
it. You're fine. Do it as a side job. Do it as a side job. I'm like, okay, and then as you well know, when everything went to the crap in 2019 and everything shut down and we lost all of our magazines besides a couple of them, and at a different, Engaged Media, that was, we're all scrambling going, what the
Yep.
hell are we going to do now? We got all this out
Well,
there
you
content.
missed the first wave, the '08 deal, because in
Yes.
'08,
Yeah.
like, oh, the housing and this and that. Well, then advertisers weren't paying to be in magazines, so they were cutting back. So I remember '08 or '09, I didn't do my car show, Scraping the Smokies, because I couldn't get the sponsors to back it because they had all cut back on their budgets.
Yeah.
So magazines, I remember, I think that was about the time that Mike Alexander was like, hey, we can no longer pay for mini trucking features, sorry if you still want to shoot for free. And I'm like, I'm not doing it for free. And after I don't know 6 or 8 issues, he was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, they gave us our budget back because the photography wasn't where it needed to be." But I saw at I think '07 or so, I'm like, I'm quitting Pepsi. I'd been at Pepsi 8 years at that point. It's like I'm quitting Pepsi. I want to do photography full time. And then that '08 deal and everything dropped. I'm like, God, I wouldn't make enough money now. So it kept me at Pepsi. Like I said, don't quit the day job. I was at Pepsi for 22 years, and I was, basically the whole time I was shooting, I was there. And it's like I always wanted to quit, but it was too hard to give up a guaranteed paycheck and insurance and 401k and stuff that
Well, and your daughter was growing up, so I mean,
yeah,
you had a family to pay for and rely on. So that's where I was in the same boat. We had our three kids. From '07 to 2013, and so or 2012. So it you had babies and to
yep.
pay for and childcare and everything else that goes along that. So it was a kind of a time where you just stuck down and you did whatever you could and to provide for your family.
It was always a dream to be able to do automotive stuff full time. So when I had the chance at the end of
Yes,
21, I'm like, I didn't know what I was going to do, whether it was going to work or not, but
that was
here we
fun.
are.
I enjoyed working with you on that. So it was a good time. I was hoping you could be there longer, but us freelancers don't have any say. But in the
Yeah.
corporate world, but I appreciated working with you, and you did a good job. I felt you did as an editor, and you talked to us, and that's the big thing about freelancers and just is just being a human to talk and bounce things off of
Yep.
and ideas and constructive criticism because you know that's how we learn and that's how we improve as in what we do in our jobs and do that and be
Well,
able to
no,
take that constructive criticism.
I know when I first took that position, you were one of the ones. I remember I reached out to him like, "Hey, I want to step up the quality of photography. I've got to have people like you, And you're like, working with this, doing this, whatever. We had that conversation, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I want to use you because
Yeah,
there's a few people that it's like Johnny O to get him to do it. Like he would do it, but like his price was different than what budget would allow. But he's also a different caliber than 99% of the automotive photographers out there. Like it's a whole different world for him. So I used him when I could.
yeah. And Johnny was that was when he had his new studio
Yeah,
or maybe I don't want to say new, but he really started diving in once he got that studio and doing amazing studio work because I
yeah,
mean you own that, but he also has that accrued cost. So there is that his lifestyle changed with his business that he did and but provided amazing. He went from stuff like this, which he can always still shoot. I mean, it's just like a
yeah.
bike for him. But then his studio work is
Some of the best in the game.
yeah, yeah, and Johnny stuff. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
Either it's this stuff or it's studio stuff, Johnny's.
So, throughout these years, because you said you started in, what'd you say, 13?
2010 is
20,
when
okay.
the issue came out in mini trucking.
So for the last, 15 years, what has been your normal travel bubble that you go to cover stuff?
Midwest. So Kansas, of course, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, of course, and then Texas.
Okay.
And then I would shoot after SEMA. I've done that probably 4 or 5 times. Because I didn't go to SEMA every year,
Yeah.
and that type of deal. But when I'd go out there, I'd get set up with Kevin Aguilera, and we would, hammer out trucks. And back when he was the editor for Street Trucks,
Yeah.
and
I don't plan to go every year. Just for some reason, for the last 11 years, it's happened.
something pulls you in. I don't know what it could be.
I'm not doing anything after this year. I'm done. And then the next month, I'm like, well, I guess we're doing
I'm
it
just
again.
going to focus on this. Yep.
Well, while we're on the SEMA subject, you've also been able to dabble in the SEMA vehicle world. How did you get into that, and what did you do?
Okay, so that was 10 years ago in 2015.
Has it been that long?
Yeah. So,
Oh, yeah, 'cause I have my Tundra there.
was that that truck? Yeah, you've had so many, I know. So that's what you say. That's 2015. That's what it was. Yeah. So I was starting to do tech articles, is give or take a couple years around that time frame. I started doing tech articles because I'd have companies approach me about, hey, do you do this? And we would like to work with you. And so I talked to Kevin or Jeremy Cook, or some of the other editors, and mainly truck stuff. But so I started doing tech articles, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's a different style of work. It's not your typical automotive. And so I started asking Kevin, I was like, hey, what if I do a build them? I got this 2010 GMC Sierra Crew Cab. What if I started doing tech articles for it? And he's like, oh, yeah. And I started talking to people, and it started snowballing,
Yep.
And it became this full on build series and street trucks. So we had a rendering done. Jason at Hypertech helped me get that all set up, and he was the main driver about getting my truck for their future vehicle in their booth in Hot Rod Alley for Hypertech. And so I did a build series, and that was really fun. It was called Project Wingman, which is, I don't know if you can see it. It's over here.
Okay.
And so, basic what you can bolt on and to make it look cool, so I could take it to my and reliable, so it's like a workhorse. But here's something cool and custom that you could show if you wanted to, but it had great parts from Budnick and SSBC and Beltec and Airlift and Jail Audio, and then I worked with local builders here that helped me build the truck and tune the truck. We did a dyno, and then Ed Williamson did the airbrushing and the flames on the truck.
Now, Ed, he's the one that he always did all the crazy graphics, like Robbie Bryant's truck.
Yes,
that is Ram.
Very much. So Ed lives here in Wichita, and Ed is from the world of big dog motorcycles. So back in the chopper days, like West Coast choppers and the
Orange County,
yes. We had big dog here, which was elite type.
I had friends that had them.
Yes. And so Ed was a big airbrusher. He also painted planes, I think, also maybe, but I want to say more. He did choppers and custom bikes. And so I've seen many of his, I have artists that I love how they do flames, because everybody has their own unique style, and I love the way Ed does licks on flames and does that. So, so I had him do my truck there, and did it similar to another truck that Jake McKitty built, and I am forgetting the name right now. It was a white one with orange flames. Anyways, I'm drawing a blank. Forgive me on that one. But anyways, so that was.
I'll make sure Jake cusses you for that.
Oh yeah, and I'm so bad with names, and I'll admit it. I am bad with names. Ike Williams, Ike Williamson. I won't say
Okay.
it. I'm bad. Ike's truck, and I love this the way that his flames were laid out on his Silverado. He had an '07, I want to say, Silverado crew cab, and so I did similar to that, and with my little take on it, and we took it to SEMA, and that was a fun adventure, and that was the a bucket list item.
Well, that's when I went in 13. Me and Kristen just really started dating and stuff through then, and we went to SEMA 13, and I'm like, same way. You're like, well, I could do these tech articles. Well, if I did some like for lift or bumpers or this and that, I could do a few. I wonder if I could do one for SEMA. Started as a joke, and I'm like, made a couple phone calls, and I called one of the shops I dealt with, done some photography, shot a couple covers and stuff for, and was like, hey, what's your thoughts on this? He's like, well, I only have one question. I'm like, what's that? And he goes, you gonna let me build it? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I'll build it if we do all the tech articles through me and this and that. I'm like, okay. So what started as a joke in 13 become my first SEMA build in 14. So the tech articles kind of same way as you got my foot in the door for the SEMA world.
And that was the blue one,
Blue
wasn't it? The lifted
Silverado.
up one with the
Yeah.
gray wheels.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I remember that.
And
But
it
that
actually
was
sold. It
that.
sold at SEMA, and then I called my builder and said, "Hey, if you want me to use it for any kind of marketing or whatever, I'm not going to sell it." And he goes, "Well, no." He goes, "All I want to know is what we're building next year." And I'm like, "Done. Let's go."
And then he built another lifted one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to do something that I have to clean the suspension and all this powder coat. And fast forward to 2025, and now I've got something with a full powder coated chassis that I'm gonna have to clean everywhere I go.
But you know what? I've seen your builds at SEMA, and I've seen your trucks at LST, and when we get to see each other, because we're at different edges of the country here. But it'll be interesting to see how your take is, because you have a unique taste and look, and it'll be cool to see what you do, and then how you shoot it. Are you going to shoot it out at Vegas?
Oh yeah, I've got my spot that I love, that I've
Yeah.
shot a handful of covers there.
Because
And
that's
already,
with it being rustic and patinaed like that, and just the way the stance and being a K5,
yeah,
there's not a whole lot. I'm trying to think, there's not a lot of K5s. I think photo shoots that have been out there. Usually it's just trucks or cars
yeah.
or lifted stuff. I mean, well, lifted, there's always a guaranteed on
I've
lift.
got a road that I've shot. One, two, three, four different covers in the same spot. But it's like the Red Rock Mountains in the background. The mountains get the sun before the sun ever comes up. So like they're lit, but the road's not. Like it's one of those.
Yeah, and you done it for CK?
Do it?
CK?
Oh yeah.
Amazing? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So then you get the nice,
Yeah.
what's popular in CK is the centerfold. And that's what's so cool about how they do that. So that pulls from our history of magazines and having a centerfold picture that comes out and you'd post it up in your room as a kid.
Well, I know I posted a picture one time when Mike Alexander's running mini trucking, and I remember I get a call or a text or something in the middle of the night, dude, you need to take that picture down. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's a beer in it, like it's not like there's a dude in it and a chair, like it's not a feature picture, something fun we played with. He goes, you need to take that picture offline now. I'm like, why? And he goes, trust me. And I'm like, okay. So I went in, logged in, took it off, wound up being one of the posters in mini truck. The truck was in the background with two strobes on it. I had a strobe on the guy. Like it was one of those.
Right. Yes. You were one of the few photographers that would stage a cool, I don't know how you would call that type of a picture, but like whether it be with Crispy or the little shop truck.
Yeah.
You did one with that too, didn't you, or something to that effect? There's several shoots that you've done in the past with sparks thrown out and just kind of this mood setting, and of course there's mini truck stuff, and it's just
really I love staged photos like that.
Yeah, you did a lot of that. That was really cool because it was just different. You just not a lot of people could envision how to set that up to be able to capture it. It wasn't just like a random thing that happened. So
yeah. It's like they're not going to run this picture. There's a Bud Light in it. There's graffiti. Like they're not going to run this picture. And here they ran it. I remember I got the issue. I'm like, that's the poster. I'm like, that's badass. Like now I see why he cussed me out at 2 in the morning about taking it down. But um, out of all those years of shooting, do you have one or two vehicles that stood out like this is my favorite, other than the first cover you shot? Because I'm sure
Yeah.
that
Well, that's you always remember your first, right? As
yeah.
they say. Let's see here. There was Nick's. I I guess Nick's C10 that Bob Grant worked on a lot. It was the red
Really?
one that I shot out at after Vegas in the desert beds
That
because
was
that
one of
was
the LST best of shows one year, wasn't it?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a truck that was been built for a long time, and it had that Camaro lines done
Yeah.
into a lot of metal fab, and so that was like one of my first like crazy, you know, over the top built trucks, I guess you'd say, that had that kind of level of craftsmanship built into it, and just being different. C10s are
Yeah.
hard to, as you know, to make it unique, and that one stands out in my mind of all the trucks. So, and just we that was when I was shooting with Kevin, and he had me do 4 trucks that morning. So we lined them all up, and he had his 4 trucks, and I had my 4 trucks, and so it was just one of those things that
In the lake bed.
yeah, we're shot at the same time. So I lined them up so you wouldn't be in reflection, all the trucks. And we're out there at, 4 a.m. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
what you have to do it before the sun comes up, because once that sun's up, you're done.
Yeah.
Um,
Have
but
you?
yeah,
I guess you've not been out there in a couple of years. 3/4 of that lake bed is solar panels now. Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah. I went out last year and took a buddy. I'm like, really? I'm like, ah.
Well, I'll have to send you. I still kept the pictures on paper that Kevin, would give me, because I got a rental car then, and how to get to this spot. So I'll have to see if it's the same spot that you know of.
Yeah.
So
You get off at the
I'll have to
Searchlight exit.
text you what that is, but I still have it in my cell phone and my cloud that from Kevin. I know that was I don't
Yeah,
know how
you
long
get
ago.
off at the Searchlight exit and you drive down that road. It's off to the right. You got to kind of go across this ditch thing to get out there. Oh yeah,
Maybe it might
same
be.
one that Johnny O's picture was shot at, because
I
that's
have
the same
no idea
place
where
he
that's
shoots.
at. I don't know if that's
Same exact lake bed.
I just know that there was a lot of other truck, or a lot
Oh
of
yeah,
diesel
Phil
oils
shoots
out there.
there.
Yeah.
There's Porsches and some European people shooting out there.
But like when I shot mine after SEMA, I shot over in Henderson side.
Yeah,
So south of Henderson. And I think Alexander was out there, and
that's
Johnny
that
O
one.
might have been also over there. Oh, what's that?
That's that one, because that's
No.
between Boulder City and Henderson.
So where I've shot Nick's truck is south of Vegas. I didn't go to Henderson.
Okay.
So this is where Kevin had me go, and like I said, but there was other photographers out there. So this was south of Vegas, like 30 minutes south of Vegas,
Yeah.
on whatever highway that is.
There's been so many places out there I've shot, and I go back the next year and it's like tore down or it's fenced off or it's a new build, and I'm like, that was a perfect spot. Why you got to ruin it for us?
Yeah.
So what? So that one you said was probably your top shoot. Do you have any others that stand out? Because you do a lot of cars and stuff too.
Yeah. Oh man. So I have some a Kansas City builder, Restomod, store up in Kansas City that they were big on just Restomod stuff. So there was a couple cars up there. Man, I'm trying to think what else. Cars. I mean, it's been a lot. I think here's a recent one. Was a 69 Camaro that had like one of 8, the new Mercury 8-liter V8 motors that they built.
Okay.
There were like, I don't know, 60 some grand or more, but there's only like 8 of them out there. And that's Mercury Racing built them. So it went into this 69 Camaro, and he rented out Hallett Raceway, which is a road course and down in Oklahoma. And so we were out there on this road course by ourselves and having a whole afternoon and evening and on this race course. And so doing rollers on a racetrack and the
Yeah.
road course and doing that. That was really fun. Just something different because that's the only road course that we have, I guess, around this area because Topeka shut down up there in Heartland. Um, so that's like the only road course around anymore around here. But that was a cool one. It was a '69 Pro Touring Camaro that was built. I mean, just well built, and it was built to race afterwards. Like once he was done touring all the shows, and
Yeah.
in the future he was going to go take it on, some races and race in a classic series. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, while we're on the photography subject, what's your thoughts on how in the last 15 years are you doing this as your side job or whatever, making a name for yourself? What is your view on how the photography world has changed with the introduction of, you know, cheaper cameras, more accessibility to these kids to be able to get stuff, and change that aspect of the photography world?
Well, I don't see it being cheaper. That's one thing.
Well,
It
I mean,
seems,
like when I started, a 1 gig memory card was $300.
yeah. Well, and that as well. So some things are a little bit more affordable, but like the hardcore, like the lights are still like
Yeah,
good. Um, the new LED lights that have the camera batteries, or not camera, but the light batteries built into them. I can't think of the name. John Jackson
yeah,
uses them.
yeah.
I can't think of the name of the brand. But anyways, stuff like that. Oh, I mean, they're great, but they're very expensive. And cameras are. I like how they're evolving the cameras a lot faster. I mean, like seems like it's like an iPhone. It's like every 2 years they're coming out with a new series of camera.
But like
A
now,
lot of
every
vloggers and a lot of stuff, so they're changing up, the styles. But you don't need to have the huge megapixel cameras anymore. A 20 to 30 megapixel camera is all you need for print and doing any type of for advertising on that type of stuff, unless you're doing huge billboards, but
yeah.
then you have software that can, take the picture and AI generate, make it whatever size you want, so
But
AI has been interesting.
now that everybody per se is a photographer, back when, like, I know when I first started, and probably still when you first started, you'd go to a show, like you'd have your media passes because there was only a handful of us that were actually working in the show. Where now everybody and their brother has a camera on them.
Yes. Oh, and that's, yeah. Oh, well, like with the websites and having their own deal, and I just, that's just the way it's going to be, and you're never gonna, you know, you're gonna have new kids that comes in that has, the high school stuff. They're learning how to do video and photography.
Oh
They're
yeah,
learning a lot of cool stuff coming out of high school, and I think that's pretty cool to see. You have us old, I guess, relics, old guys that grew up in the '80s and '90s and film and all that kind of stuff. Do we change our ways? Maybe a little bit, because like, oh, I've been shooting it wrong and that kind of stuff. But you still have your own unique style, like you have your style and I have mine. But
well, I
uh,
know the deal with like AI taking over. I don't. Everybody's like, oh, well, the AI can do what pictures that you could take as a photographer. And I'm like, it's still not. You still can't make AI create what you can create with a camera.
no, and you can. Only thing AI I've seen so far is I don't know, make it move. But
Yeah.
then taking a still picture and making it into a moving video.
Now
That
the
I like some of the editing I'm seeing, like in Lightroom,
oh
like with
yeah,
moving stuff. I've noticed the AI removing tool that they're constantly making better has greatly made my work of editing more efficient. When I want to take stuff out, it just, instead of me spending, it used to take me, say, 15 minutes because of this wording and way this poll or whatever it is,
yeah.
it's taking it. Now I can just hit that and it's like
The
perfect.
clone tool where
It's
you used to
great.
have to say this is the point I want to remove, but this is the point I want to replace it with, and it's like, no, that's not right. Let me delete it. Let me try
Yes.
at AI. The only thing that bugs me is like if you click a bunch of stuff you want to take out, dust spots or whatever, and then you click it, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna wait until it does its thing, and then like that draws that time out. But the amount of time that it saves from having to actually use a clone tool to fix that, I used to hate editing photos. Now I'm like, all right, cool. It's so much easier now.
Yeah. It's, and I had to learn. being efficient on my editing, and that goes back to how you shoot.
Yeah.
So, my early through my mentors of like, hey, I'm doing this, and it's taken me. How long does it take you to edit, say, 100 pictures? Oh, 30 minutes. Like, geez, it's taken me 2 hours. What am I doing wrong? And so let me see, what you're doing, and so that's where having those guys help me, look at stuff that I wasn't seeing when I was shooting, and then
Yeah.
adjusting and trying to be better each shoot. Like what can I do better next shoot, or what did I do this shoot that I should have done than that type of deal. So it's just continually improving and learning from mistakes and that type of stuff, and knowing how if I shoot it this way, what am I going to have to do to edit out to make
Yeah.
it look perfect, because you don't want to have this pole or that sign or reflection that's in there, or a hot spot or whatever.
I think you shoot a lot like I do. Like mine, I try to get at least 90+% of the actual click of the button of what it needs to be. Like I don't like to go through and have to change stuff. You tweak a little lighting, remove a rock that kind of stands out or something cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to shoot like I'm going to see it as a finished product, because there forever when I first started, editors didn't want you to edit anything. They wanted you to just send in a CD of unedited photos.
That was odd times.
Yeah. So I never really had to edit. They're like, well, I didn't teach myself how to edit because nobody I worked with up until 08, 2010 or something even wanted that. And now it's like I couldn't imagine sending a photo to somebody that was not at least tweaked a little bit.
Yes, and so in teaching, because I have people that come up to me, hey, can you look at my stuff, and help me. I'm always willing to help, mentor or give some pointers to new kids, or someone that's kind of hey, I want to do what you do. Okay, let's see what you got. And so, you can definitely tell people that have it, that naturally know what to do, and you're talking about things, and then and people that don't quite get it. It's a thing that you do. There is a sense of natural. It's just like being an athlete. You're just when you're natural, you have the eye for something. You know what you're talking about, and you can explain this light's over here because I want to light this side with this shadow looking over here, and you have your key light from the sun and doing that kind of stuff. To do a 3-light setup with that, and so it's but that's how it is. You have to learn, and it takes time. You don't just start out and you're perfect every time. It takes years sometimes, and that's if that's your drive, and go for it.
Now I know we've gone from trucks to photographies, back to trucks, whatever. So back into the trucks. So you said you had your SEMA build. You're building a new truck now. Well, I guess it's done for the most part.
It's almost. I have one more part of this build series.
Did you have something else between your SEMA build and this one?
No.
Okay.
No.
So how did this one come about?
Okay. So I've been wanting to get back into, or just having an OBS. Man, when the price is on, you start. Everybody's like, man, this is the next square body. These are the next C10s. I'm like, really? Because they're like still $3,000. I can still pick up any truck or a custom truck for $6,000. And that kind of stuff. I can still, that's all right. And back in 2010 or the late 2000s. And then I think it was about when I realized, I may have messed up, or just missed my time. Was I tried to buy a truck, and it was a Oklahoma. It was like the first body dropped OBS, and it was built down in Oklahoma. It was red with flames on it, and it had like a purple chassis or green chassis. It was a well-known truck from the Midwest, and it was for sale up in Kansas City area or Missouri, and this old boy had it on his lot, and I was like, I'll see if I can, hey, I'll give you $10,000 for it, and he just like, nope, I want minimum 18. I'm like, I'm not giving you $18,000. I mean, like, that's a 10, it's been around forever. I don't know what's been, it's old school tech, old school body drop, old school, everything, and this guy just stayed on it. He would not budge from a price point that was like, that's insane for someone to ask like that for an OBS. here we are, 2025, and you can, anything that's not trashed and a 1 or 2 hour truck. I mean, you're spending 20 plus grand for a stock truck.
It's a $3,000 truck all day long, though.
I know.
These prices absolutely kill me. I mean, I paid what, 7 for my Blazer, and I'm like, that's $1,000 truck. There's no way this thing rusty and missing part like is worth that. But I do think that the OBS is that next growing trend because the round bodies are getting hard to find. Now the square bodies are getting hard to find. So it's like that's the next progression.
Well, and then our generation, the OBSs came out in '88, and so that was your, you know,
88 to 98. That was our window.
that was our window, and that was our, the sport truck phase, the Boyd Conditton trucks, I mean, just the whole everything went from C10s are okay, that's an old grandpa truck to everybody had OBSs, because that was the major market, the magazines, everything you saw OBS.
Yep.
And then of course, we grow up and we got rid of our stuff. We have a family, different jobs, we move, and that type of deal. And now that we're at this age, you're like, man, I'd like to have that truck again because, I would go shoot features for OBSs and I'd hop in those trucks and I'd go drive them, and the owner would hand me the keys. I'd go, here you go. And I sit there and I'm just like, man, it brings back memories. I mean, it's just like, just those memories, the smells, the way that an OBS is, and
the way the cloth seat feels.
It just everything. And so that's when I'm like, I gotta find one. This is just getting out of hand. And of course, so I got last year in 2024. I spent about a year or so, and I asked everybody, and I was trying to figure out whether to go junker, and a $3,000, $6,000 truck, and then make something out of it, or start with something that was, I'd say, pristine, and 1 or 2 truck and low miles and the color I want, the interior I want, everything's there. I don't have to replace them. So the decision came that I found one on Marketplace up in Kansas City. It was a grandpa truck with 73,000 miles and 95. So that was the last year of the TBI, and that's why I like the TBI motors. I had a 97 once, and it was okay, but the engine bays look really computers, and it doesn't look clean.
All the accessories under there. And
so that's where 95 is out last year. I never had a 95 because the dash is rounded, so it's different, but it's rounded, and airbag is only on the steering wheel. And then the blue. So I got the blue with blue interior, which that was a combination that I've never had. I'm looking up here, light blue quasars is what the color it is. I've never had that. And I remember Justin Wallace down in Oklahoma had one back in the late 90s that I was always trying to compete against. And, when I had a 91 Silverado there that I would go to Slamboree with and would be in his class to compete against, for full-size trucks. And that truck was just always cool to me, and I always thought that was neat. So that was that's why inspiration and tribute to what I built mine from. So,
did you know you wanted to do with it what you did when you bought it, or
no? It was going to be build over time, static, drop and that kind of stuff because it was stock. It was stock wheels. I had a 2.4 drop. So, but
you had the big tires and like the Steely wheels on it when you got it, didn't you?
No, it had so it came with the originals. And it came with some 17-inch American Racing, the rallies.
Yeah, with the big tires on it.
Yeah, with big tires on it. And so it came with both sets. And so I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll be able to roll it like this. And I mean, everybody liked it and had a steel cow hood on it. And I was like, yeah, cool for what it looked like because it was kind of raked. It was, old man's kind of hot rod rake. And then I started talking to Scott at CK and like, hey, some people are asking me about, are we going to do a build on this? I'm like, do you guys do this much? And I've done it in the past. And he's like, no. It's like, it'd be kind of cool to do a build series. And so I started kind of shooting shots out there to people and say, hey, what do you think? And that's when Jake and Sean at Fat Fabs called me up and was like, hey, we want to work with you. we want to develop some new parts that either will be like the prototype, so they can develop a new 4-link system for the rear for airbags, redesign their front airbag system with their air arms, and do some other pieces. So they also built the transmission cross member that helps um, get rid of the factory bolts from the factory cross member because it sticks down. So
Yeah.
that's the lowest part. Because my truck is I only wanted to just the lay frame right now. It's
Yeah.
I couldn't do the full chassis of Jake's at this time, and so they developed all that, and we got um, Jason at BAD Wheels in Tulsa made me a set of his new style Rockstar wheels that I've always from the early 2000s that he had, and I've always wanted those wheels, and he had the matching billet steering wheel half wrap from the back in the days. He had an inventory that he bought from somebody a while back, and so I got that from him to match. And so I kind of wanted to do the whole thing with this truck was I've always been the guy to take a stock truck and then debadge it, monochrome it, graphics, shave this, shave that, and do all that. Well, I've never done the opposite way, like put badges back on it and make it like a super cool stock truck, because I'm not building it to be a trophy truck and go win the Triple Crown or win, all these kind of cool stuff. There's like you see the trucks, the Indy Killer and all these other trucks that are out there. And like, I'm not trying to compete with that. I want to have fun and just a cool cruiser that I can go just have fun with, because the level of the OBSs that are being built now are just insane. They are just next level, like high end open book, checkbook builds that I'm not trying to do that. That's just not my what I want to do, because I want something I can drive and have fun and just go cruising with. And so that's where it came out to. I wanted to do a truck with making it look stock and put all the badges and everything, make it all back in the stock hood back on it. So started the series up and built.
Now, is that your factory paint that's still on it?
Yeah. So in 2022, the second owner, when he only had it like a year or two, and he had it repainted because the original owner was some 70 or 80-year-old guy that had a topper on it and a plastic bed liner in it, and it was set outside. And GM paint, it
comes apart.
A cool patina. Like I said, if it would have stayed like that, it would have been a cool patina truck, for an OBS, because OBS trucks they pretty much just the clear goes away and it just kind of fades out. It's not like your patina where it's got cool
colors in it.
It's a different kind of patina, I call it. With the OBS is because it's just different how the trucks were made or painted. And so he had it blown apart, so all the windows, the seals, the bed came off. He had it done right, and the body shop who did it, and I talked to them, and they sent me all the stuff because, like, is this legit? Oh yeah, we replaced the glass and all the seals, and we fixed the rust spots that underneath the seals that happen on OBS, and so I started with a really good truck. Everything was there. It was had a new paint job on it, and so it was a good starter. And I just kind of built on that and had worked with some shops, of course, with Fat Fabs. And then we had AccuAir and Willwood. And, of course, that's a BAD built wheels, Wham rods. Of course, Schloss Tubs, with his Mike. I've always, Mike's been a longtime friend and a client. I've shot most of his stuff. And I was always like, if I can build something, I want to use your tubs. And so that's
I had him on the podcast as well.
Yeah, Mike's a great guy, and Sarah, and so they've always treated me with the utmost respect, and I respect them and what they do, and I enjoy seeing their adventures and stuff. So I wanted to support him as he supported me, and AMD stepped on board. Root LA Custom Parts with the side molding trim. And Kicker, that's the last one. So Kicker has stepped on board to do the audio.
Okay.
So we're doing that along with Code Zero Customs down in Tulsa is going to be the install. But and then Dream Auto Clinic up in Valley Center, Kansas. Here, did all the painting, and we did all that to finish up. That was the last. So there's 8 chapters already written, and so then I have one more chapter and the 9th one to do with kicker stuff.
I
So
know when I talked to Scott about it, he goes, "Well, when are you looking at having your tech stuff done?" I'm like, "Well, I got to have it pretty much done, so basically SEMA I can start on it." He goes, "Well, that's good." He's like, "Because that's about the time that Grant's getting his wrapped up." He's like, "So I can go from his basically into yours," and I'm like, "Well, that's good because that gives me time to start that."
well, and ours are. What's cool is that we're doing this, and it didn't happen. We didn't plan this, but
Yeah,
it's like mine is this. I would say mild build, because it's like if someone, and how I approached it is kind of a lifestyle tech article series. Like, hey, I bought a truck and I'm gonna have it bagged and with billets and new brakes and all the kind of new goodies on it. And it's like, what's that like? So that's what this series is, and we're 3 months in. So like it started out um, in July. So July
yeah.
was this issue of CK magazine, and then at August here.
God, I love that Tahoe too. That's my favorite Tahoe on the
So,
market right now, or on the
so
scene right now.
I'm very lucky that I met Jack Martin and was able to shoot all of his stuff. He's down in Tulsa, and so this one here, you've seen this, right? You've
Yeah, I
seen
talked. I talked to him at Bama. I think it was right after you shot it. I'm like, yeah,
it.
Grant shot that, didn't he? The stance, the fitment, the interior, the engine bay. That thing is my favorite Tahoe on the scene.
Well, and as a side note, no, we're getting off topic here, but when I first saw him, so we met down in Tulsa on early Sunday morning to shoot this, and so I'm waiting for him, and he's coming in. And I see that thing rolling down the road. I'm like, holy cow! Like, and it's like this
Yeah,
far off the ground, and it's got 22 by 12s on the back with big old Michelin pilots on it, and it's just like that's static. That's coilover chassis because it looks like it's bagged, and he's
that's
just
the,
mobbing, air it out, just mobbing it. And it's like, nope, this is how we roll.
that's
And
the
it is just,
stance I'm doing with mine. Same stance, same back wheels on it. Like we're setting mine that height.
and it's got the LT motor in it, so it's
Same
got
one.
Ryan Albers built the exhaust for it, and it's just like this custom. It has its own unique sound because it's stainless exhaust, and it sounds great. But so
I
back
bet.
on topic, here's the last one. There's a third chapter. The September issue is so it
Yeah,
has
yeah, I got a feature in that one.
Project Blue Steel there. So and the name Blue Steel is because my wife named it Blue Steel because when I first bought the truck, wanted to go driving around with them. Um, Everybody would stop and like give that from Zoolander, some
Yeah.
Derek Zoolander would give that look.
I didn't know with
Blue
the
Steel. So,
steel if you were modeling on the side now as well. I wasn't sure
yeah,
what
so
it was.
that's where it's like everybody gives you that look. Every time they stop, they go, "Ooh, yeah," give thumbs up, and like, it's truck's blue, or call it Blue Steel. So that's why it's called Blue Steel.
Nice.
So
So
anyway,
when will this one be done, or is it going to be like the rest of them and it's never done?
uh, uh, well, I would say it's going to be a while. So um, it went way better than I had planned for. Jake and Sean and those guys down there at Fat Fabs took very good care and built an amazing truck, which you've experienced. When you did Cranberry, I
Yeah,
guess your Dodge Ram.
yeah.
So how Jake's and his crew down in his
Does,
shop.
did he pick up a new social media person or something?
Not yet. And that's probably Sean.
Because
So
whoever it is in the last, I don't know, month and a half has just been blowing up like crazy. I'm like, he's got to have a new social media person.
it might be Sean. I'm not sure because they did have a video guy that was working with them, and then he had to go start a new job. But so they don't have that same video guy who did like all the latest features, like with the
Yeah,
Cadillac and the Dually and the Lincoln.
yeah.
Um, so that videographer, he was from Oklahoma City, and he had a break away and go do his thing for his family. But so I don't know if that's Sean. I've asked Sean, but they may have
Whoever
someone.
it is, they've stepped up their game. Like they're super present in the internet world
It
now.
is. It is. It is. I keep trying to poke Sean to get back into that videography.
He was so
Man,
good.
his Silo Films days are just iconic. It's just he's just natural. Like he would show me because during this whole thing, I do video of the build and take pictures, this whole thing. So I have this whole build vlog of doing this yet that, will eventually get wrapped up into a series. But, we're trying to get everything out in print first. So we have to kind of get that out there first. But it's just, you watch him do a videography work and shoot, and like, oh yeah, it's, my brain doesn't quite think like that. So I'm learning. So I'm baby steps here, but you do a lot of video stuff and you do great. So it's, how it is when you have to do both. It takes two different kinds of styles.
My hardest part is trying to sit and talk in front of camera. I'm in front of camera now talking to you, cool. But when I have to like have it just me, I'm like, yeah, I did this. I'm like, oh, that didn't do good. Let's start that over.
Yeah, just wait till you see my interview when Sean interviews me when that thing's done. It's just like, hi, how you doing? I'm Grant. I
What do I do?
Like my hands, I don't know what to do. And he's like, just calm down. You're so nervous. I'm like, I know. I don't know why. I'm like, I naturally like to talk to people.
That's one thing
I like. Camera in front of your face. You're like, tell me about your build.
That's one thing I like about the podcast, though, because like to me, this is just friends talking about cars and photography. Like this isn't some kind of professional, here's my list, this is what I'm doing. Like, no, we're just BSing for an hour or so. Just, like that was the whole point of doing the podcast. So it's like, I've just had to get used to it. So
yeah, you're good. It's been good. I enjoy watching them. So keep it up.
Well, what's in the future for you other than work and family? Like you still keep growing the photography side and playing?
Yeah, just there on COVID times when things was weird, when magazines shut down, the shops were full. Everybody the shops got full of stuff, and so there wasn't a whole lot of producing, and parts got a little bit weird, and so now things are coming out of the shops now, and it's been a pretty busy. I know 2024 and 25 have been real busy because everything's coming out of shops now, and so it's just status quo. I did a shoot last night for Diesel World, and then I travel up to Kansas City this weekend for a 66 C10 that has a Cummins diesel swap in it. So nice. It's a beautiful bagged C10, so it's unique and something different. So, and then I'll go up there and come back. But you know how that life is. You just got done doing a big drive all around the nation and stuff like that. So you know how it is. So it's just I try to get up and go back down, and I gotta get back down to Jake's shop. I gotta shoot his caddy for him, and
black one,
the black, the 61 caddy. So I need to get down there and get his caddy shot. That now that's back up and running after the tornado that took it out. And
I don't know how he was at SEMA knowing that his stuff was crushed like that. I ran into him. He goes, "Oh yeah, check out my house and like the shop." And I'm like, "Why are you here?" He goes, like, "There's nothing I can do." He's like, "What am I supposed to do?"
Yeah. He's a cool cat. I mean, that's for sure. I know my anxiety would have just my kids and family and wife home, and just being there with them to help console them. Yeah, because we deal with tornadoes. It comes around. I haven't been that far deep into it like he did. That it is. That's and his dad's van was inside and customer stuff was around, or and he had a couple of Chevelles, and just insurance, and he knows he can eventually take care of things and get things back up and rolling. And so it was good to see that caddy go, because that caddy is pretty cool to see. I don't know if I've seen it in person, but it's cool because Jake's a truck guy. You always so when he starts doing car stuff, and now he's doing a K5 Blazer, a 4-wheel drive. He's building chassis for 4-wheel drives, and that's going to be cool to see. It's going to be, I believe, at SEMA. I don't know if it's going to Dino's, but it's going to be for Barrett Jackson in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see him venture out and do other things, because the guys there, witnessing those guys and their talent and the way they can weld and make something out of nothing, and the creativiness of those guys is a great crew there. So it was neat to see that and be able to watch that evolve and turn into something.
It seems the 4-wheel drive chassis is what's taken over the world right now. Like, I'm like, why am I even lowering something? The 4-wheel drive market's where it's at, but it's like, It's so crazy.
Uh, Crazy, yes. And then yes, who's the builder of the K5s that's going across Barrett?
Hogan's built.
Hogan.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're stupid money.
Well, and they're built well from what I can tell. I've seen one locally. A guy bought it at Barrett, and it ended up here in Wichita or close to here. So I got to see it, and I mean, yeah, they're cool. I'm not a four-wheel drive guy, but I appreciate the craftsmanship and just bringing something different like that.
So where do people find you online when they want to follow your photography work or
So
your build?
right, well, I'm doing all the build is in CK Truck Magazine. Like I said, it's out currently. The third issue or the third chapter of the build is out. Grant Cox Photo on Instagram and Facebook, and Grant Cox Photography on the web.com. So that's
Gotcha.
that's about it. I don't do a lot on Facebook. Here and there, I just repost stuff or post a few things.
Yeah.
I do more posting with Instagram. Just
Yeah.
I like the way the Instagram set with music and stuff. So I mean, music.
I'm trying to think when the first time that we met each other, was it at a show or was it at SEMA?
I have no idea. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I would almost say it would be either LST or SEMA. So
It must have been SEMA because weren't you running around with Brian from SoCal Customs?
No. Oh, you
I
did
think
it
that
because you
was
took
when
a
we.
picture. Was that
Yeah.
the first time?
I think so.
I do remember that picture. I got that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, because you took a picture of us together. Yeah, because we're chatting and you came up and there you go. So SEMA.
Yeah.
If that's, man, you got a good memory.
Now I'd say I'd use that for your thumbnail photo, but God, if I could ever find it, it's probably on a disc somewhere, and I don't even have a disc reader anymore. So.
Oh gosh, yeah, it might be. I might have it. I might have.
Well, yeah, because I have to get a picture for that anyway. We'll see if we can't find
We
that.
were so young back then.
Yeah, all baked, no gray in the goatee.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was definitely cool having you on, man. I know I've been bugging you for a while to come on, and
We're busy. It's all good.
You had to go on ODB's first. I guess he's cooler than I am, so
it's just it's been a fun ride. So it's good to hear everybody. Everybody's talking to friends and doing this stuff, and I enjoy it. And so I appreciate you asking me to come on and doing this. And
I mean, ODB was my first guest, so
he's a natural at that. He can chat with the best.
Yeah.
So.
Well, definitely cool having y'all, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad we got to catch up and kind of discuss some photography stuff. It's been fun watching the OBS build. So
thank you.
Excited to see the rest of that come about and you actually out and enjoying it.
Yes. Hopefully I can have it out there at Dino's this year and you'll have yours and then we can check each other, the builds out and stuff. So I'll be at LS2. So I'm planning to go to LST as well with it. So I got that, join the pre-approval, to get into the LST. So then we'll go do that. So maybe you can make it out there if the weather's good, because I know that's a journey for you and not
16 hours for me. I know when I had Scott at Rev B on was saying, well, it was cold and miserable this year, so that means next year theoretically it should be nice.
True. And like the last time you were there when you were the editor and you had your
Sierra.
The diesel Sierra. Yes. And the weather was
the weather was good, but it was just everything was dusty.
Oh, I thought it was cold. I remember
it wasn't the cold. It was I got half wiping the truck, went back to the other side, and it was already brown. I'm like, I ain't even touching it. It's just gonna be brown all weekend. I'm here to have fun, not blow dust off all week.
That's why when the LST, you really have to. You never know what Houston or that climate down there, because it could say rain, but it could come in and it can go. It can be humid. It's changes a lot. So
still a good time though. Well, hopefully you make it out to Dino's. I'm supposed to have the Blazer in the AMD booth, so
definitely, yeah. And I'm working on to be in the with Mike there in the slosh tubs. So manufacturer's area.
I'm sure we'll touch base between now and then. We're always sending magazine stuff with each other, and so. All right, well, I appreciate it, man.
All right, take care. Thanks.